welcome back to the Launchpoint Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
And I'm Beau.
And we're so excited to be back with you this week as we are talking about this month, leading from where you are. This year so far has really been on a journey, starting with launching yourself as a leader, setting those good foundations, then talking about how to start building rapport and confidence and credibility with your team. And now we are so excited to look at the next phase of that and say, how do you establish yourself no matter what your current role and position is? How do you build those foundational steps that are going to help you not only in the moment, but build those long-term sustainable habits so that you can always be growing and challenging yourself as a leader? And today we really just want to break down a lot of that and have a great discussion on what are some of the ways that each of us have used these tools personally, what are some things that you recommend externally, and then of course, what resources can we provide. We always talk about at Launchpoint Leader, we want to help leaders build sustainable systems for long-term growth. We take all of this leadership theory and resources that are out there and we help you put it into action in your business. So we're so excited to talk about that a little bit more in depth today. And so I want to talk and just ask you, really just as you think about foundational habits throughout your whole journey from when you were just starting out running a portion of a restaurant to owning your own business, scaling that up to 2 restaurants, what have been the foundational habits that you look back on and go, if I wasn't doing that for myself, I wouldn't have been ready to lead those teams?
Yeah, I think super worthy topic because this is kind of the glue that holds everything together. I think you can have these aspirations, you can start well, you can get in with your team really good, but these are the things that we'll talk about today that I think will help you over the long run.
Yeah.
Create that glue that gets you to where you ultimately want to be. So, like going into your question, I think I would start a little more broad picture, if you will, big picture, and then kind of get a little bit more tactical as we go along with some specifics with systems and steps and processes. I think that the thing that you've got to start with here is realizing you've got to set a vision for where you ultimately want to get to. So we're talking in the business realm. You do this personally and professionally, but in the professional world, if you don't have a clear objective, like way out in the future. So at the end of my career, what do I want to be true? What do I want to be able to say that we accomplished that is true of me and my leadership of my teams, et cetera? I think that's where you've got to start. So one of the tactical ways to think about that is really sitting down and going, okay, what is really important to me? What do I want to be true at the end of my career? And then start working backwards from that. That'll help you with your behaviors as they go along. So I think set that vision. Number 2, don't fight the seasons that you're in because you're going to go through different seasons in order to achieve that ultimate outcome. Don't fight those seasons, embrace it, adjust to it, and realize that some of the behaviors and the things that you have to do in those seasons might not be the thing that you want to do forever and for the long term, but with each season comes a different set of behaviors that are needed in order to reach that ultimate objective and to have that thing be true that you want to be true the most at the end of your career. Does that make sense? Like
it does.
Okay.
And I want to start, like you said, talking about big picture.
Yeah.
How does someone set up if they, right now you ask them, where do you see yourself at the end? Maybe they have a vague idea or they think they know, but they've never taken the time to write it down and think like, formalize it,
Yep.
What are the steps you take to write out that big picture and then to start saying, okay, well, if that's where I want to be in 20 years, 30 years, whatever, what do I need to do? Like, how do you scale back to make it actionable today?
Yeah, I think that, so I think everybody's going to be a little bit different because, I actually came out of my sophomore year in college and I actually knew exactly what I wanted at the end of my career to be. Like I was so fortunate to have a moment where I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. I know it's what I want to do. And as I started doing it, I got a really clear picture of what I wanted the ending to look like and what I wanted to be true, like specifically. For those that are maybe just starting out and they don't have that, like, I don't really know exactly where I'm going. What do you want to be true of you as a leader? Where, regardless of the industry that you might end up in, regardless of the role you ultimately might get, what do you want to be true of you as a leader at the end of your career? And if you start looking at that, you go, okay, now if I want that to be the case, or maybe it's that, and I don't know what I want to do, but I do know that I want to lead a large business, or I want to lead a boutique company, or whatever it might be. Start working backwards from that and go, okay, if I want that to be true, what are the behaviors I have to engage in every year, every quarter, every month, every week, every day, that will, if I do those things consistently, it will lead me to the outcome that I'm trying to achieve. I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but one of the greatest things, the greatest tools that I've used, and we have it at Launchpoint, is a one-page business plan too. So ultimately, you've got the big picture goal for your career. Then you use that one-page business plan and you plan out. For me, I go every 5 years. I say, if I'm going to reach that ultimate objective, what has to be true in these next 5 years? And what are the behaviors and things I have to engage in over 5 years if that's going to be true? Then I go every year and go, okay, if those 5 years are going to be true, what do I have to do this year? Great. Then I go quarterly and go, if this year is going to come true, what do I have to do every single quarter in order to accomplish that goal that I have for this year that then supports the 5 year, that then supports what I call the life plan, the ultimate objective. And it's kind of like a building block system, if you will. That sounds like a lot. I get it. Like, as I'm saying it, it's like, that sounds like a lot. The ultimate objective is a lot of work and it takes a lot of thought. The 5 year takes some time to really sit down and go, what has to really happen in this next? And 5 years isn't the magic number. Sure. It's just what I've chosen over the time. Some people do 10, some people do 2, whatever it might be. It takes a little bit of time. The year I don't think it takes that long, because you've got some clarity, because you've already done the one-time work of the main objective and what do you want to be true. You've done the real hard work of, if that's going to be the case over 5 years, now the year just becomes, okay, what do we have to accomplish this year to take that next step forward? And then the quarterly, honestly, becomes super easy, not time consuming at all.
Yeah.
But it just gives you some real specifics on the day-to-day and what projects you might need to accomplish in that quarter. So it sets you up for a great year, that sets you up for a great 5, that sets you up for that ultimate objective.
I love that. And I think it's a great way to look at it as well, because as I think of times I've walked clients through this, and a lot of times I'm working with people that have really big dreams. They've put in the thoughts. And I think if you're someone that's consuming our content and like really wanting to grow yourself, you probably have a good idea. You're not starting from, I have no idea where I want to be. Like, you have those dreams and you're working towards them, but it can do one of two things. It can make them realize their goals are a lot closer than they think, or if I say I want to be here in the next 5 years, I've got to do a lot of work in the meantime to get there. A great example is I was working with someone and they had this job they wanted to apply to. And they said, I have given myself a deadline. I'm only going to have in 1 year, I'm applying to this job. And it was a really intensive job. And we went through the list and I said, well, what are the requirements? What do you have to do? And they wrote it all out. And they realized in the moment, I have not done the work up until this point to get me there for a year.
Yeah.
And it really caused them to realize, like, I need to make an intentional plan. I can do it in 2, but it's not going to derail my dreams forever. I just need to say it's better than thinking, oh, a year goes by like that.
Yeah.
Like, I do something I do with people when they have those kind of goals is every time we meet, I go, you have this many days. You have 250 days left until this goal that you set out. How does that feel? And a lot of times that really checks them and they're like, that is not long.
Puts a
right?
clock on it. Yeah,
it
that's
does.
good.
But it's also can be an exciting thing of like, there's only 250 days left. I am doing the work. I am grinding it out. I am going to get there. And I just got to have a huge celebration with one of my clients. She just got a similar role that she's been applying for, and she has been training and interviewing and doing all sorts of things for this. She has probably worked harder than any other client I've ever worked with to get to this. And she got her yes. And I was one of her first phone calls, and like truly an honor in that moment to be one of the first people she thought of to call when she got selected for that. But also she took those daily challenges. She took those deadlines of like, this is when I'm going to work towards it. This is what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And it's because she had that long-term vision. She knew if I want this goal by X date, for her, it's to own her own business by the time she reaches a certain age. If she needs to do that, she's got to do these steps by a certain time. Yeah. And if she didn't have that, it's so easy for one day to just get pushed further and further back. So I think what you're doing and starting big and giving yourself those incremental deadlines as you walk back is so important, because it's so easy to think, oh, I'm thinking long-term. I have my next quarter planned out. It's not really thinking long-term if you're only 90 days in your future.
Yeah. I love that. So like you've got to have the dream, but then you've got to have the intentionality and the reality of what has to be accomplished today, tomorrow, this week, next year, whatever, to reach that dream.
Yeah.
So I love that. Tactically speaking, I think you hit on a couple of things there that maybe we should dive into a little bit. And it's like you put a countdown clock on it.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody says, this is the dream, you say, great.
Yeah.
If that's the dream, let's talk reality. Right? So keep dreaming. Amazing. Let's talk reality and talk current situation. And then you work from there to figure out, what do I have to do each day, week, month, quarter, year in order to achieve that outcome, right?
Yeah. People are careful when they give me dates now. They know we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it
I'm
up.
gonna be careful now too.
And careful. The other thing I think as well is when people work on these business plans, they try to separate themselves out as a person. And that's not to say you can't have separate personal and professional business plans, but a lot of times when people write out their personal goal plans, like we're talking about here, it's very tactical business data.
Yeah.
And that's great. I think you should have data things, but I think more importantly, you need to have those personal development goals right there alongside with them. I always challenge them to have a balance of both. Like, how do you want to grow as a person? Sometimes it's like, I want to run this race during this period of time. And I don't think those should be on different separate sets of paper. I think you've got to have those together as part of your goal, because holistically, you're not just the role you're currently in. You are not just the business you're leading. You're not just the department you're leading. You are a person. And so as you're making these big plans, sometimes I tell people if they really want to do them separately and have them alongside each other, that works. But something about putting it together, you're one person putting it on that page together and working towards all those things at the same time.
There's so much there that we could unpack.
Yeah.
I think we need to do another one on just that.
Yeah.
Like you are one person. You cannot separate personal and professional. They look different.
Yeah.
But I love like what you said. You are not your current role. You're not the job that you're in. You're one person. And so much goes into to all of that. I think the other thing I would just say that I want to hit on is I said earlier, don't fight the season, embrace it. And realize that once you set your ultimate goal, your ultimate objective, and you work backwards, don't be discouraged because you have to do things today or in this season that you don't want to be doing in the future, or you don't think you should have to do it to meet your ultimate objective. I think actually a lot of times leaders get thrown off or people get thrown off because they have the resources, they have the knowledge, they've got the ability, but they start to battle the season they're in, and they use their emotional and mental energy with the battle.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be here. I don't want to do this. They start to use their energy for that instead of realizing, if I want to get there, I've got to get this done. I've got to figure this out. So I'm going to invest in this season so that it gets me to that next season. And that's more of a mindset than it is a tactical, like, this is the business plan that you should use. These are the steps you should take. This is the whiteboard you should have. But I think we miss that oftentimes as leaders. We think so much about the future, and then we're in the current situation. We're like, well, this isn't what I expected it would be. Like, it's not what I really want to do. Great. Then figure out what you have to do in this season. What are your behaviors you've got to participate in and own and accomplish so that you can move into that next season? Because your next season is always dependent upon what you do in your current season. So don't settle for the season, but embrace and adjust to it, using some of the things that we've given you, the ultimate objective, the quarterly plan, the yearly, whatever. It all leads back to getting you to that ultimate outcome that you want to have as a leader of people, family, professional, personal, all those things.
All those things. I think really quick, as you're talking about that, maybe what are some ways that you've pulled yourself out of those mental, like how do you break that mental cycle to refocus?
I have to have reminders of the ultimate outcome, whether it's personal, professional, it doesn't matter what arena I'm talking about. So, for me right now, it's a different place. I've got a 16-year-old who, when I first started in my career, we didn't have kids. And then when we moved to Tennessee, he was a year old. And it seems like forever ago. So I've got like a year and a half left with this guy at my house. And I set an ultimate objective years ago, probably back in 2010, it's 2026 now, 2010, 2011, of like what I want to be true for my relationship with this now young man. And so that countdown clock is on. And so I am having to really think about every day now with this young man, because he's going to launch pretty soon from us. And I want to be able for him to sit across from somebody one day and say that what I wanted ultimately was actually true. So actually got a little, so I might have turned sideways on that some, but it's real for me because there is a legitimate countdown clock, like personally. Professionally, it's one of those where it's like, I'm getting older. I know y'all don't know that, right? I still look like I did when I was just starting at 22. But if I want certain things to be true, I have to pull myself. So how do I pull myself out to make it true? Reality. Like I have to take a hard look in the mirror sometimes and go, I don't know how much longer I'll be doing this. I don't know how much longer I have with my son. I don't know how much longer I have with this person in my business or this client that we're consulting. So I need to make it count. I try to do everything I can to integrate personal and professional. So I've got to figure out how I pull myself out and make sure that I'm good. Is my vision white hot? Do I have reminders everywhere that I look for whatever it is that I'm trying to get to? So for me, actually, in my car, I still keep a number on my dash. And that number represents, for me, the number of customers we serve in a day at our Chick-fil-A locations. And I look at that number, and oftentimes I need to remember that when I walk into the restaurant, or I need to remember that client that we're working with and what their goal is. We have a client that is interviewing for their dream job today, like right now.
In this moment. So exciting.
And it's like, to remember those things helps me get out of any funk or any like stuck place that I'm in. 'Cause it's like, we're doing really good work and they're working towards their ultimate goal. So I think it's just, for me, is setting up specific reminders about why we're doing what we're doing and the ultimate outcome and why that's worthy. Does that
absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's, as you look through these long-term planning goals, and then you say through seasons, and when you're doing this, sometimes when you're in that season or in the moment, it's hard to say like, well, what can I do? Because sometimes when you're in the worst part of it, you don't even realize how bad it is until you do these things to check yourself, and then realize like, I can't believe I was stuck in that mental rut, or I wasn't, doing these certain things.
Well, I think tactically, it's like, go back and look at your plan. Are you actually doing what you said you were going to do when you had that clarity before you got in the nitty gritty? Are you doing what you said needed to be done to accomplish the goals for this season that leads you to the ultimate objective? And if you're not, go back and do it. Or does something need to be adjusted? Have you settled into the season instead of embraced it and adjusted to it? So I think those are the tactical things where when you've got that one-page business plan or that ultimate objective plan, you can go back and look and go, am I actually doing what I said I needed to do in that moment of clarity? And when I say moment of clarity, it's like when you make these plans, you need to be by yourself. You need to be in a quiet space. You need to have uninterrupted time. You need to dream and you need to think. And you need to be able to create this plan and then create your calendar around the plan and the behaviors that need to happen in that season. So tactically, I think that's what I would go back to pull myself out of something if I don't feel like I'm making progress. Go back to do those things and go, am I actually doing what I said I was going to do when I had that moment of clarity, knowing that these things were required to get to the next step or the next season or the next building block to reach my ultimate outcome?
And I think that's a perfect summary of what we're talking about today, because it just really sums up, like, you think of how do I build good daily habits? How do I build sustainable things? It's doing those kind of things in your individual work, in the work you're doing just for your personal leadership and laying those out. And I think we've talked so much about business plans. You're probably wondering, where do I get one of those? On our website. We've got a free resource for that just for you to get started. And then say
it's
you're
like
not sure.
We knew that was going to happen, right?
You might be listening to this thinking, I would love one of those plans.
Done.
We've got you taken care of. And if you want to go deeper and think of those long-term goals, that's part of what we do. We've got the free calls on our website. We're always happy to figure out how we can work with you and what you need specifically. There's no one plan fits all. So we're going to figure out, hey, say you need to do your 10-year plan, 5-year plan, work back. That's our bread and butter. I love doing this stuff with people and helping them understand their goals. Careful if you give me dates, but I promise it's going to be worth it. We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to help you get to where you want to go. So I really appreciate it. I think these are great resources, and thank you so much for listening. I also wanted to say we really appreciate it if you just liked and subscribed. You know, you hear it everywhere. It's so cheesy, but it really does mean a lot and helps us reach more people and get out there. I mean, we do appreciate it so much. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.